Mates of YouTube, Matty Demise here. So I previously promised I would make a video about the Socket 775 PC that I have, and here it is right here. The case used to be in great condition, like it was a flawless Cooler Master 430 Elite, and I think this is from like 2012, 2013. It's still in really good condition, but not perfect. And that's a like 300 watt power supply, HD 4670, I think. Yeah, 4670. And I'm pretty sure that's 8 gigs of RAM and a Core 2 quad. So yeah, let's boot it up. I put in the SSHD we had in the 6100 GT730 system, but this is going to be pretty good. Let's boot it up and we'll see how it performs in 2024. Promising so far. Nice. This PC is not booting into Windows, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to unseat some of that RAM, and if that doesn't work, I'm going to change out the GPU to a GT710, just something really baseline. And if that doesn't work, I may try a different SSHD. I've got another one here with nothing on it. So I will report back in a second. Here's the 4670. Unseated some of that RAM, but it didn't really work. I'm gonna keep trying though. Not a bad looking card. Only 1 GB of GDDR3 RAM though, so probably not ideal for gaming, but that's just part of the fun with testing this sort of old equipment. Here is an HD 5450. Let's see if this works. We're going all out for this one. I've got the other SSHD. Turns out it's not the graphics card and it's not the RAM either. I believe it's because this SSHD is set to, and I've got to access the BIOS. So I've got my old, it's not old, but I've got my Huntsman, my Razer Huntsman keyboard, and I'm going to be reinstalling Windows 11 with Rufus. What an arduous process this is, but that's computers for you. You're always going to run into these sorts of issues where you've got to troubleshoot, and it helps to have a bunch of different equipment around. Like I've got like a whole stack of old RAM. I've got a spare cooler. I've got more USBs with Windows 11 and stuff. I've got other GPUs. What else have I got? There's my other low profile graphics cards. I've got spare monitors. We've got absolutely everything we could possibly need in order to make this work. So we're gonna get it to work. The fact that we're in the BIOS is a really great sign. And you can see here, Quad Q6600. This was an absolutely legendary quad core CPU back in the day. I remember, geez, what was my computer in high school? I built something that had a Core 2 Duo, I think it was E8400, and I remember eventually upgrading to the Q6600, and this may be the very same Q6600 that I had back when I was at school. So this is like an assembled PC from, you know, parts that I've had for, God, getting close to 20 years now. And I'm like not even old. That's the crazy thing. But you can see here, we're in the BIOS. It's flawless. It's just a matter of, I reckon I might have to use one of my other USBs to try and access Windows 11, the installation media. So I will report back soon. I think I've said that too many times in this video already. The moment of truth, come on, load in, load in. Will it load in? So I'm gonna have to put Windows 11 on this USB right here, but instead of GPT, I've got to use MBR, which is Master Boot Record. Just because when it comes to these like older socket 775 motherboards, they have a hard time using Windows 11 and a more modern file system. After a lengthy but simple installation process with Rufus, we now have the Windows 11 MBR installation. Now it's officially the moment of truth. New SSHD, USB, come on baby, come on. It's a thing of beauty. It is an absolute thing of beauty. We finally achieved something, but will it progress further than the Windows starting screen? That's what I want to know. Let's cross our fingers and hope for the best. Alright, so that did not work. I've tried so many things and I just can't get Windows 11 to install on this. And that's even after we've obviously used Rufus to disable the requirements for TPM and the 4 gigabytes of RAM, even though this is 8 gigs of DDR2. We're gonna have to approach this a different way another day, but I'll definitely keep you updated. I still had fun trying to get this to work. Like all this sort of troubleshooting stuff is still pretty interesting to me. But yeah, this is the Socket 775 system. It is working, it's just difficult to install Windows 11 on it. I suppose I could try Windows 10 and we could do it that way, but okay, so when all else fails and you can't get Windows 11 on an older PC, what you do is you install the hard drive that you want to put Windows on into a different computer, install it using Rufus, and then put that hard drive in the older computer. That never fails. That's what we're going to do now. It's going to work. I know it is. So let's get to it. That's what we like to see. Well, unfortunately, my plan of installing the new hard drive into a different computer and then putting Windows 11 on it that way didn't work. So I'll have to reassess tomorrow. We'll get there in the end though.
Ah, Disco Stew. Right this way.
But hey, St. Peter, you said like you was full.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, jeez.
I want to show you guys something really cool. Well, I think it's cool. So after doing some extensive research yesterday, when I got home from work, I discovered that 24H2, the latest Windows 11 update, or build rather, doesn't actually work with these older Socket 775 systems. You actually have to use 23H2. And so I put an older build. It took me a while to find an iOS for the older build of Windows 11, but it took me a while and it finally installed. As you can see here, I've got it on the Firecuda SSHD and we are in Windows 11. So I'm actually really excited to see how this performs with Core 2 Quad Q6600. I would actually rather have the experience with like an actual cheap SSD rather than an SSHD. But, you know, SSHDs in my experience are actually a good middle ground and they're quite affordable as well. I've got a source that sells them to me for about $10 to $15 each, which is a pretty good value. Anyways, let's get into Windows 11 and have a look around. I must admit, I love how just being in Windows 11 uses half of the computer's RAM though. It's a great feeling. You've got plenty of RAM left over for gaming, right? At 1080p, YouTube was surprisingly usable. For a second there I thought I'd have to stick to 360 or 480p, but after a refresh, 1080p worked relatively flawlessly, and you can see by the YouTube stats for nerds that we dropped barely any frames. 1080p YouTube videos, not an issue at all with this system. Next up is a ridiculously fun indie title, Brotato. Nobody that uses a system like this is going to try and play Call of Duty Black Ops 6 on it. Anybody that knows anything about computers already knows that that's not going to be a good experience. However, for older titles, retro games, indie titles as well, this system is going to work beautifully for it. With minimal stuttering, minimal slowdowns, games like Brotato and others with similar system requirements like Vampire Survivors or Death Must Die, these are going to work relatively flawlessly with a system like this. And if you are on an ultra low budget and you want something with 4 cores and can play these older titles, don't overlook the Core 2 quads. These still have some life left inside them. Now let's try something significantly more demanding, Fallout New Vegas. This game is a stone cold classic, and at 1080p medium settings across the board, we were receiving a 60 FPS average, and I was genuinely surprised to see that. And we were also maxing out at 300 megabytes of VRAM use, which means that you could get away with an even older GPU with this title and still achieve 60 FPS on average. Now, granted, the Q6600 and the 4670 are by no means gaming powerhouses, but if you're only interested in playing older titles like this, they are going to work flawlessly. And if this was your main gaming computer and you were only interested in playing games like this, you could get away with that easily. So I was very impressed, and at 1080p high, we were seeing about a 45 FPS average. So even for high settings gaming, pretty solid system. And the last gaming benchmark for today is Dead Cells, and we achieved 100 FPS average here, which exceeded my expectations again. Dead Cells is a little more graphically demanding than Brotato, but as you can see, it played reasonably flawlessly. The 1% low of 1 FPS is indicative of me accidentally hitting my enable benchmark button inside of the menu, so the 1 FPS is indicative of the menu frame rate. So as you can see by the actual gameplay itself, it's playing flawlessly. This is a fun game, but I am not great at it, so I will dip from the footage before you see me get wrecked by one of the first mobs you even encounter in the game, which you just love to see. Anyways, this was a flawless experience, and if you're looking to play these older retro games, if you're looking to play indie games, a system with the Q6600 and HD 4670 are going to work really well for you. Still holding up in 2024 for YouTube, browsing, and these older titles. Anyways, if you've gotten to this point in the video, do consider liking it. Do consider subscribing to the channel. It actually helps me out immensely. I had a lot of fun making this one, and in some ways the Q6600 system is a better gaming system than the i3-6100 system is, but we can explore that and examine that in another video entirely. I had a lot of fun making this one. The older tech community here on YouTube is incredibly positive, and all the interactions here have been phenomenal. I really appreciate the comments and the likes and the subscribes I've been getting recently, so that means the world to me. If you want to see more content like this, or if you have any suggestions, if you want to see any games tested or old parts tested, let me know, as I have a lot on hand. And until the next video, my name is Matty Demise, and I will catch you guys around.